Hi everyone, and you're welcome back to the RTÉ Soccer Podcast, week 3. I'm getting a bit comfy in this couch, Richie. But all is good, all is good. So obviously we're going to review the games. Only 3, sadly. The weather put pay to a lot of my kind of excitement over the weekend, but I did get out to a couple of games. But I'm delighted to say we have our regular Richie Towell here in his tracksuit and his protein shake, and Keith, Treacy and me got the memo, and we made a bit of an effort with a shirt and jumper, and I think we look a bit smarter, let's be honest, Keith.
Yeah, and Richie was giving out to me, saying, "Oh God, you look well." I was like, "You're in a tracksuit, Richie."
You need to dress up anyway, you do.
All right, we've had our day in terms of the football side of things. We're kind of reaching that 40-year-old stage. At what stage do you stop wearing tracksuits, Keith?
34.
34, he should be still playing. He's a disgrace.
I know, I agree. Any managers out there looking?
37 as well.
37,
I
yeah.
look younger than the two of you.
I've had a tough paper round, Alan, though, to be fair.
You have to be fair. It's been well publicised. We've heard all about it, and you're doing very well. Well done. At what age do you stop wearing tracksuits?
I think if you live in the north in our city, you've got to stop wearing them pretty early.
Pyjamas before the tracksuits in
Exactly,
the north.
yeah, pajamas, tracksuits. I don't know. I wear them around the house, but I wouldn't be seen wearing them around the streets too often. Okay. Very rare I go to a gym. I mean, Richie's coming from the gym, so he has an excuse, but...
You probably put on another tracksuit
I
at 1
did.
o'clock.
Yeah, that's exactly it, yeah. Out of one into the other one.
Defend yourself.
I think it's a nice little... I'd say it's more of a twin set than a tracksuit, just to try and back myself a little bit.
It's kind of gone that way now, isn't it?
Twin set.
Twin set. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, little twin set.
That's fair enough. We let him off with the twin set. Okay, most importantly, the football boys. I mentioned about the games called off. The big one, of course, was going to be Shelbourne Shamrock Rovers, a killer. And most of all for Shamrock Rovers, having kicked the ball, started the league. Is it a little bit... It's a bad reflection on the league as well, isn't it? As much as we want to promote it and push it, games getting caught. And I know, to be fair, look, obviously we're living in Dublin. The weather's been horrendous for a month. But if we're ever going to be serious about football as well in the country, games getting called off, waterlogged pitches, and those pitches have a history of that. Is that not something the club should be addressing in those grounds in particular?
I said it, Alan, didn't I?
And Shelbourne.
Yeah, I said it, didn't I? That the whole league needs to raise the standards, like, off the pitch, because on the pitch I think the standards have really been raised. You can see that in the players that's coming to play over here. You can see it in some of the performances that the teams have been putting in the league, and then when they go and play in Europe. And then you get that, and the champions from last year and the champions from the year before, and the game gets called off. It's not a good reflection, as you said.
Keith?
Yeah, I understand the frustration, but to be honest with you, as a player, if you said to me, "We're going to call this game off on a grass pitch, but you'll play on grass next week," I'd hang on and play on grass. I absolutely hated playing on Astros, and I know people say, "Oh, that Astro's not bad. That Astro's not." I don't think the ball bounces truly on it. You know, when you're trying to receive a ball, when you're forced touch, the spin is not the same.
But I'm not talking about Astros. I'm with you. I hate Astros. They should be outlawed in the country. Like, the Astros are a disgrace. The Oriel Park, I know they've put in a new one. I still wouldn't have it. Derry's Astro is a disgrace, and I know they're getting rid of it. A lot of the first division grounds have Astros. I'm dead against it. So I'm not talking about putting Astros into like Satolka Park or Pats. I'm just on about looking after the pitch properly, so that if we ever serious about it, that we can try and prevent games from being... They're effectively next to two rivers.
Yeah.
In Ballybock and the Camac. So should that be something the club should be addressing?
Yeah, you would think so, but I'd imagine that, you know, you'd need the groundsmen on here to speak about it, but you'd imagine with that amount of rainfall, their hands were just tied and there wasn't an awful lot they could do. So, yeah, I think they were just unlucky. You know, I think the groundsmen are very capable. The reason I loved playing for St. Pat's is because the pitch was always absolutely brilliant. So,
same as Rovers.
Yeah, same as Rovers, really good. Yeah, so I wouldn't be thrown too much yet. I think we've just been a little bit unlucky with the weather, to be honest.
Okay, well, let's get to the football. Derry City, Dundalk, 2-2. Derry City,
I know.
They haven't convinced. They haven't convinced Richie. Oh, there was all the talk pre-season, signings of players, money being spent. The chairman was quite bullish in his comments before the season started as well. 2-2 again at home to Dundalk, and getting out of jail with a last-minute equaliser. Not good.
It's a slow start again, isn't it? I heard Tiernan Lynch speaking after the game, and that's 2 weeks in a row now, 2 home games as well. You really want to be getting the crowd, getting a bit of momentum, because when the crowd is up there, the place will be rocking at those 2 weeks in a row now, they've had major setbacks. You see Owen Kenny, how easy it is from he gets on the turn, he's outside the box and he just curls one into the corner. There's no pressure on the ball, similar to last week when Thing is in the centre,
Patrick McLean.
Yeah, he's right in the centre and he finishes. It's wild stuff it is. Tynlin to be really disappointed in that. I will say the positive that they can take from it is that they've come back 2 weeks in a row. I think if that's last year, I don't think they probably pick up points in either of the games. I don't think they get the win last week. So I think that's where we spoke about the likes of Patrick McLean and James McLean, who obviously combined for their first goal. Their bit of grit, bit of determination, their bit of know-how in the games to stay in and stick at it. I think that's where it's going to stand to them a little bit going forward this season. But I think they'd be disappointed.
Yeah, just on that, Keith, and I know you're big on XG stuff. They had an XG of 3.37. They had 21 shots, 10 on target. Are they the positives that Tiernan Lynch will be taken out of the game despite the slow start?
They're the positives that Tiernan Lynch will be taken out, but to be honest with you, Alan, I was sent up to Derry last Friday. I was supposed to be in Tallaght. It gets called off. I get sent up to Derry, and there's the atmosphere. When I get there at 7 o'clock, the atmosphere is buzzing in the Brandywell. You're thinking they're going to set off like a house on fire and just deal with Sligo. Whatever Sligo do, it's not going to be enough, and Derry will just swat them away. The intensity was something that was really lacking, and again, when James McLean goes in as a holding midfielder, you're thinking he'll be snapping into tackles, he'll be demanding, a real full court press. I think Derry have been fairly easy to play against, and this is no disrespect to Sligo or Dundalk. You'd imagine they're going to be in the mix of a relegation battle this season, yet both of them have gone to the Brandywell and looked comfortable for large periods of the game. Yes, they pulled it out of the fire, they got a win and they got a last minute draw, but I don't think it's the type of home form. I know we're only 2 games in, but Shamrock Rovers have probably got better, and looking, if Derry they got 6 points on the board, as a Rovers player, you're sitting in the dressing room thinking your feet are getting itchy, I want to get out on that pitch. That it's 4 points and they've been a little bit disjointed, you're thinking, no problem, we'll get out when we get out. So yeah, the football side of things, I think, as you said, the XG is really good. The front four, like Darren Markey, Josh Thomas, Michael Duffy, as good as anybody, but defensively, that intensity is lacking for me.
That's my worry, Richie, defensively. And we've mentioned that the last couple of weeks on the show for all the talk about them potentially winning the league. You look at the goals they've conceded so far. Last week, it was Patrick McLean was a lot deeper than Slevin, as you said. Hakiki ghosts in. The one the other night, Slevin misplaces a clearance, bangs off one of the forwards, drops to Owen Kenny, a pass into Owen Kenny. He's on the edge of the box and nobody closes him down. So slow to get to him.
That pass into Kenny, unbelievable, by the way. Like, so many people would take a touch and the chance is gone, but it's fizzed into him straight away. I understand the press is loose.
Very loose. Because once that pass goes in, as you say, he has time to take a touch turn and get a shot
There's
off.
no runners in behind. There's no runners in behind the Derry defence either. So there's no reason for them to sit off because Owen Kenny can't actually slip anybody in. All they have to go out and press him. But it's the same for Ruby's goal as well.
So I was coming to that, Richie. And we flagged it up, Keith, last week, just in terms of 2 left footers playing centre half. I'm not comfortable with that. Doesn't really kind of, maybe the optics of it. But already we've seen the goal they conceded last week, and obviously the 2 at the weekend, the long throw, he falls asleep, McLean, ball over his head. Slevin doesn't come across. And I think the keeper, I know he's a young keeper making his debut, he should do better, I think, on both goals.
I agree.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think he, especially the first one, like it's bent. There's no real venom on Owen Kenny's shot. There's not. All right, it's in the corner. I still think he should get to it. That's not. I don't want to be too hard on him. Obviously, he was making his debut in the game as well. And then Arubi's volley. Look, Arubi struck it really well. It was obviously a quick throw. Was he able to get set? Probably not. But if you're in a team that's going to win the league, you want your keeper to be making them saves.
Yeah, that's the point, really, isn't it, Keith? Like in terms of, I suppose, they are a team that wants to win the league. You can't be letting in goals. They've conceded 3 already, as you said, to 2 teams who we all are kind of predicting will be down fighting relegation.
Yeah, defensively, I don't think I don't think anybody be looking at Derry and thinking, like I say, top end of the pitch they can go and hurt anybody. But defensively, you're thinking we'll get something out of them as well. And if their press stays as loose as it has in the first 2 games, then everybody's going to be licking their lips. But you got to. I was probably guilty of this on the opening day. I was looking at Derry thinking, I'm expecting a complete performance here, given the amount of talent they brought into the building. I mean, McLean was at Sligo last year, Slevin was at Galway, so there is going to be teething problems there. Maybe I'm definitely a bit guilty of saying we need just to be 100% right now. I think we're probably being a little bit fanciful, and we've got to give them a bit of a chance to gel.
Yeah, because a lot of new players have come in. On the Dundalk side of things, Richie, very positive. We mentioned Kilduff in terms of his what he projects in the media comes across very well, very assured. I felt it was the same the other night, and the Brandywell spoke quite well after the game. He felt they probably deserved to win it, and at that stage you probably would, wouldn't you?
A bit of argy-bargy on the line as well.
Oh, was there, yeah?
Yeah, did you not see that? Tiernan Lynch got the ball, he tried to throw it past, it came past Kilduff, and he sort of lets it go past, so Tiernan Lynch gets it and tries to throw it back, but he stops it, and there's a bit of a head-to-head.
Nice. Good.
There was a bit of
Young
need on the
manager.
side.
Yeah,
I
you
love
need it. And it's actually not his character as well. Obviously played with Kilduff I did, and he's not that type of person, that confrontational type person, but you can see when it comes to a game how much it means to him that he wants to win, and he's trying to do anything at all costs to help his team, which is brilliant. Is I think Cornwall let them down, but I heard Kieran Kilduff speaking after the game, and he didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was a penalty.
Stonewall penalty.
Look, I get when you're in the box and you have a hold of someone. I get that. I've done it myself. But there's a time when you need to let go.
Yeah.
And he keeps holding him. The ref blows the whistle. He still has a hold of his jersey.
The ref, to be fair, was right beside
I
us.
know. He has a bird's eye view of it. Even the ref blows the whistle, and he's still like this with a hold of his jersey. Comes a certain point where you've got to let the jersey go, and last minute it's absolutely killed him, hasn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Because that was his comments afterwards, where he did speak well, and he felt as though they could have won the game. They should have won the game, maybe. But he said afterwards, Kilduff, listen to him, if that penalty is going to be given, there'll be 10 or 11 penalties given, or whatever the number he used, in every match. But it was a Stonewall penalty, Keith.
It was.
Yeah, but there's an air of truth of what Kieran Kilduff is saying. If you look at any set piece going into the box, somebody will have a hold of somebody somewhere. It's
but I agree.
Are you going to give it or not? I agree, it's a penalty. It's a Stonewall penalty, but I could go through any set piece over the weekend and say, Alan, it's happening there. It's happening there as well. But they're not given. So I do have a bit of sympathy with Kieran Kilduff and Dundalk, but you can't be gripping people up in the box. And like when the referee gives the penalty, he's still wrestling.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a Stonewall penalty. But
I have no sympathy for Kilduff. It was a Stonewall penalty. Because as you says, he holds on to it. 1 second, you might get away with it. 2, you may get away. He's 3 seconds holding on to it.
See the separation. See when the players start to separate. That's when, like, it's all right being close and you have a hold of them here, but see when that separation happens and the arm starts coming out here, you've got to let go, and that's what kills them. Is
on the positives for them though. First, obviously, they're opening night, going up to Derry, leading 2-1, going into injury time. He'll have to be delighted with that, because again, we're all kind of predicting in terms of where it'll be come the end of the season, and it's so early. But in terms of the performance as well, and what I liked about them going up there, even though in terms of the possession, Derry had a lot of possession. The XG might have been low. Keith loves his XG. It might have been low for Dundalk. But they were a threat. Had 5 shots on target out of 8 shots. So they were a real threat on the night.
Well, they have got a bit of quality, don't they? I think you even see with a Ruby strike, it's a great finish. Owen Kenny as well. Owen Kenny scored a lot of goals last year. I know there was a little bit.
He does well for them, doesn't he?
Very well. And there was a bit of interest from England for him in the off-season just gone, so I'm surprised he actually didn't go. And then they have the ex-Ireland international Darrell Horgan, and then they signed lads who have been there and know the league as well. So look, it's a really, really positive result for Dundalk, and it's something that they can build on after only coming up.
Especially going into the game Friday night, we're playing Drogheda, huge, loud derby.
And
we'll come to Drogheda in a bit, who had a good win. The last thing really I have to mention, and it needs to be called out, the Brandywell, we mentioned the pitch, right? The floodlights in the Brandywell. James McLean is taking a corner for the one that he scores for Patrick McLean. It's like there's a spotlight just shining down on James and everywhere else is in darkness. When I played in the Brandywell, it was one of the best places to go in terms of the atmosphere, the grass pitch, little track around it. But it was brilliant, wasn't it, Richie? Right? You look at it now, it was like one of these people nowadays to do plastic surgery and actually make themselves look worse than what they were before it even started. Because you look at the ground now, the floodlights are a problem, the pitch is dreadful. I know they're getting rid of it, but hopefully when the grass pitch comes in, they need to sort out the floodlight issue, because they're brand new at that new stand. Yeah,
it's like you say, the off the field stuff is not quite up to scratch, and it doesn't look great on TV either when you see those type of optics. But yeah, I absolutely hate Astros. I've like Oriole Park up the north and the Brandywell, absolutely hate it. And I don't think it does Derry any favours whatsoever.
No.
You know, when you're trying to break down a low block or a team that are defensively solid, it takes a touch and a half, maybe 2 touches to get the ball under control, and then you're getting your head up. Any half decent team defensively will drop back into a shape, and it's going to be very, very difficult to break them down. So I think Derry, they're moving halfway through the season to the Gaelic pitch down the road. Yeah, is that going to be a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know, but early signs from Derry, I'm not sure they're going to be in a title race to keep carrying on the way they are.
Yeah, we'll sort out the floodlights, Derry, when you're sorting out the pitch. And the other thing, they're playing Bohs on Friday night. Huge game.
Big game, really big game, especially Bohs will be really confident now. They're off the back of a 4-0 win. They kept 2 clean sheets out of 2. Obviously, Colin Whelan, hat-trick. There's a lot of momentum there for Bohemians. Derry is off the back of 2 not bad results, but as Keith said, it's not
underwhelming performances.
Exactly,
Richie.
yeah, that's exactly it. Like, they're not exactly lining up at the moment, and I think Bohemians will be going into the game thinking we'll be well up for this, and I'm gonna really take it to them. Like.
Okay, moving on nicely to Bohs then. I was in the showgrounds on Saturday night. Horrendous conditions as well. I'm thinking this game is going to be called off. There's no way this is going ahead. But to be fair, they got the pitch on. It was a little bit boggy as you'd expect, but the game was on. The 2 teams was fine. But Sligo Rovers never turned up. Only one team did. They were a goal ahead after a minute and a half. Bohs, a disaster of a start for Sligo Rovers, and it just got worse and worse as the night had progressed.
Yeah, they were fairly poor, Sligo. To be fair, when I seen them in the Brandywell, I thought they were excellent, but it was chalk and cheese, and you can't concede an early goal like that. When you do, it's an uphill battle. I was impressed with Bohs in possession and out of possession. But I think when you turn up, Alan, and the pitch is a little bit boggy, the rain is gone, there's a bit of wind, football goes out the window. It's about playing the conditions. And I know we can look across the water and think, oh, well, they play it that way. In Ireland, it's a different kettle of fish. You're going to have to play conditions at, especially this time of the season. So I think Bohs played the conditions an awful lot better. Colin Whelan was absolutely ruthless with the chances he got. And I wasn't impressed with Bohs in the Aviva whatsoever. I thought they were very, very standoffish. I think had it been in Dalymount coming towards the end of that game, maybe they'd have rolled the dice to go and win it a bit more. But in front of 21,000, they were thinking, just don't lose this, which was a bit of a damn squid all in all. But the likes of Dale Rooney, Colin Whelan, Douglas James Taylor, they've every chance, with European football this season. Can they get European football again? I think will be the main aim. But I'm sure Alan Reynolds will have hopes of maybe a title race in the mixer.
We said last week, Richie, about how kind of underwhelming that performance was in the Aviva, really, and also how overcomplicated it was with Flores dropping in, then he's going into a 2 in midfield, the Dawson high, false 9, all this nonsense. The other night they played 4-4-2, nice and simple, and they were so effective. Exactly. 2 up top, had Dawson back in the middle beside Flores, who played very well, to be fair to Flores. Rooney's in on the right, Tierney in off the left, and the 2 boys up top, and Colin Whelan. So when they just simplify it, look at the difference it makes.
I was a little bit concerned for Bohemians going into this game, purely off the back of their performance in the Aviva wasn't great, as we've said. Sligo's performance up in Derry was really good. So going into that, Sligo's first home game, I was thinking they're going to have a little bit of momentum going in here, although they didn't get the result that they wanted up in Derry. But I still thought off the back of the performance, John Russell would have been happy and they would have been right up for it. As Keith said, you can see the goal after 2 minutes, and you know what? It was
the nature of it as well.
Yeah, it was schoolboy defending, and you could just see, which is a big concern for John Russell, the character. Then after that, there was zero. Do you know what I mean? They didn't have anything about themselves to get back into the game. They didn't weather the storm at all. And Alan Reynolds would be really happy, because I think last year these are the type of games that Bohemians really struggled in. See, when it went down and the conditions were tough and sluggy pitch, and like as you said, they were still trying to do the rotations last year and it just wasn't working. They went completely back to basics. 2 lads up top, back to front a little bit more, and it was so effective it was. They'd be really happy with that.
Because to be fair, Keith, even watching the game, they were so dominant in the first half. Bohs, again, XGs through the roof, 23, all that kind of stuff. They were just totally dominant from start to finish. But at half time, they had such a strong breeze with them. You're thinking, if Sligo can get in at 1-0, they'll have the breeze in the second half. Surely they can't be as bad as they were in the first half. How much more of a concern will it be to John Russell that they were actually worse in the second half and conceded 3 when they had the wind with them?
Yeah, that's exactly what you would have. If you're out on that pitch as a player, you're thinking, just take your medicine. If you go in 1-0 down, possibly 2-0 down, we're going to get a couple of chances in the second half with the conditions being in our favour. Sligo just didn't play the conditions. He tried to play way too much football for me, and like a lot of people will say as a manager, well, I'm dying on my sword. Try and win a game of football. I don't really care how you go about it. So many managers or modern managers now will take a pat on the back and say, oh, well, we had such and such XG, 70% possession, we did this and we did that. What was the score? Well, we lost. Well, that's all that matters to me, really. And I know I get bogged down with XG because it gives you a little indication into how good chances were. People say, 70% possession. What was your XG? Oh, it was under 1. Well, then what's the point in having 70% possession? So, a lot of it will be conditions, but the fact that Sligo just didn't seem to have the bite, just wanted to have a game of football over and over again. there's going to be different questions of it asked throughout the season, and Sligo came up short on the fight side.
That's the thing,
no shots on target as well.
And that's the worry, Richie. I'm sitting to the lad I brought with me, Ethan, loved the match, by the way, he did. So
Must be a Bohs fan, is he?
No, his first time ever in the showgrounds. Right. Give him a shout. But yeah, we were sitting watching him, and I'm saying to him, and to be fair to John Russell, Keith, and I'm so glad you brought it up, I'm saying to him, look at what they're trying to do in terms of playing out, and they're being playing into a gale force wind, so that exactly as the line Keith said, play the conditions, like, and just understand and adapt what you're being faced with here. And to be fair to John Russell in his interview afterwards, he said the opening 5, 10, 15 minutes, the whole fair, we told him just to play in the other half. And what's the first thing to do? They were playing these, and the keeper was at fault for it. Gareth McElroy was at fault for it. Ollie Denham playing these little balls in. And in fairness, and if Bohs were more clinical, it would have been 2 or 3 after 15 minutes.
I've never had a manager give out to me. If you're the goalkeeper or the centre half and you think, right, I'm just launching this now, and the manager gives out to you at half time and you say, Gaffer, the conditions are awful, I don't want to give away a goal. Yeah, the guy, he's not going to give out to you. He's going to say, okay, well, I can understand why you're doing it. You're not just doing it for the sake of it. There's a thought process behind it. So for me, like John Russell says, playing their half, no, we'll give the ball away. It's nonsensical. But when you're training from Monday to Thursday and it's constantly play out, sometimes you get in that rhythm of, no, we have to play out. I have to prove how good of a player I am. Prove that you have a brain in your head and don't give the ball away in bad positions.
Is that a problem? Like, going off on a little bit of a tangent here for 1 second, but is that a problem nowadays with coaching and with young kids, that they're not allowed to make their own decisions in some cases because it's just rammed down their throat?
There's no problem solvers. Very, very few problem solvers. I mean, my son Teddy was playing for Sheriff's Academy on Sunday. And you want to hear the manager shouting like instructions, the retreat lines. You know, there's a retreat line in underage football.
Yeah, I heard of
this. This absolutely knocked me bandy.
I was at Temple Ogue against Crumlin on Friday night, and then I went to watch Temple Ogue against Rovers girls on Sunday morning. And like you said, some of the stuff coming from the sidelines is wild. I'm glad I have 2 little girls that go dancing rather than go.
And they're good at the dancing.
Yeah, they're brilliant. Rather than go and have to listen to some of that. Honestly, I had a Barney with one of the managers and all I did because of some of the comments that I was just like, this is not right. It's not.
Teddy Treacy, if you're listening, listen to your dad. He won't put you wrong.
Retreat line. I couldn't get me head.
Teddy Treacy, don't worry.
Who decided playing out from the back was the right way of going about it?
Sligo could have done with a retreat.
Oh my God.
Let them play.
But in terms of Bohemians, Dawson Devoy, my favourite player in the league, he was absolutely outstanding. Ran the whole game, whether it was hail, rain or snow. He was just so comfortable on the ball, absolutely brilliant. And Colin Whelan, a hat-trick. And in fairness to Colin Whelan, we were actually up the game the night he did a second cruciate in the Brandywell.
I played in it.
You were playing with Shamrock Rovers, wasn't there? We were up there.
It's crazy because he actually said it to me. The ball went out for a corner and I think we were 2 or 3 up at the time.
You were brilliant that night. Thanks. That night you scored the lob.
Yeah, I scored the lob, yeah.
And see how we gave him a mention.
I know, thanks. I was don't if you'd say that I was. And he put his hand on his hunkers and he looked up at me and he says, I think I'm at the new cruciate. Yeah. And look, you're playing against an opposition player. I was like, I don't believe you. And I was like, get off the pitch. I said to him, get off the pitch.
He played on for a few minutes.
He played on for a few minutes, he did. And I was thinking, it mustn't be too bad. And then obviously after the game you hear, and I was just devastated because
it was the second one.
Yeah, it was the second one in really close proximity. He was obviously a really, really big talent coming through. And it was just so unfair on him. And you can kind of see now he's at there getting obviously a good pre-season behind him. He obviously missed the first game, which by all accounts Alan Reynolds said that he was disappointed he didn't start, but he's gone out and proved everyone right or wrong for his selection on Saturday or Sundays.
Yeah, he was superb. So well done, Colin Whelan. And we're delighted to see him back in terms of his fitness and scoring goals. Just on Keith, we got a couple of predictions the last couple of weeks. You mentioned there about Bohs. You feel still European football is their aim.
Yeah.
You don't see them contending.
No, I think with European football, that squad is going to become stretched, and if they get group stage football, it's going to become even more stretched. So I think realistic expectations are get European places again next season and throw a few punches in Europe this season.
Sligo Rovers, on the other hand, I'm so worried. I was worried before the season. I'm so worried after Saturday night.
The one thing that's in my mind, who's going to be Owen Elding? Is it going to be Hakiki? Is it going to be Alex Cawley? But this is what I mean. They need, notoriously, they lose player after player, but somebody that you're probably not expecting just comes to the forefront and they score a handful of goals and it's enough for Sligo. I'm looking at Hakiki, did really well up in the Brandywell.
Got taken off tonight.
Got taken off. Alex Nolan in and out. They need somebody to pop their head up and think, you know what, I'll be the man this season. And if they get that, I'm sure they'll be fine. But there's probably, that's one of the most intriguing things about the league. We're looking at Shamrock Rovers and a handful of others, Shelbourne maybe going for a title race. Down the bottom, I think there's 5 clubs that are thinking, we're right in the mixer here to go down.
Well, as much as this pains me to say, I think they're down the bottom. Sligo Rovers, I'm so worried about them. As I said, just purely for, and we said this about John, in fairness to me, you lose your best players, it's so hard to replace them. There's nobody there that's replacing Owen Elding. Nobody, let me tell you. So that even the ones they signed. But one thing that really stuck out for me, and this is why I give maybe a Galway an edge or someone, that there's the physical side of it. Yeah. Seb Quirk was the only one running around getting stuck in. The body language from some of them, but most importantly, Meekison just signed. Brand new club. Fair enough, he's annoyed, maybe he doesn't start the game, comes on, throwing the hands, shaking his head, like not rolling up the sleeves on a night where that's exactly all he needed to do. Prove to the manager in the right way with your body language as well as to why I'm not playing. So if they're the likes of the characters that are there at the moment, I think John Russell has even bigger problems than maybe what we outlined last week and the week before.
I said that, didn't I, at the start? They went 1-0 down and I didn't see zero characters. Nothing. You go 1-0 down, you want to have your senior players grab the lads in, being like, right, let's come on. It's still early in the game. We've still 90 minutes to go. Like, but the heads went down straight away. And like as you said about Meekson throwing the arms up in the air, not happy he didn't start last week. You see that on the flip side. Colin Winnan didn't start last week. He comes in, he scores a hat-trick. That's exactly what he wants. Throwing the hands in the air, that's not going to make John Russell next week be like, I'll start him now because he was disappointed because he was throwing his hands in the air. No, I guarantee you Colin Whelan starts next week, and that's
good
what
example.
You want.
He was so poor, okay, so that's that one done. As I said, Friday night I did get to a match as well. I was in Drogheda. Beautiful Drogheda.
Yeah.
Few improvements.
Pitch is brilliant.
Pitch was fantastic.
Always.
New scoreboard. New bar down behind it. They're trying their best, in fairness to them.
Dressing rooms are terrible.
Okay, well,
They got a new little sort of tunnel thing, didn't they?
They
walked
get a new tunnel.
Yeah,
They're trying.
nice.
Yeah.
I'd much rather see them try.
No, they are trying. They are. They're a progressive club. There's no doubt about it. And what I'll always say, every single time I played there, unbelievable atmosphere, and the pitch was always immaculate. Always immaculate. Like, look, don't mind getting changed outside, even if it's raining, but if you're getting to play on a good pitch, you know what I mean?
No, the pitch was, to be fair. And most importantly, whatever about the ground, they have a good team playing on the pitch. And they've got off to an unbelievable start again. 2 wins, 6 points, haven't conceded a goal. Brilliant start, Keith.
Yeah, and at the start of the season, I'm thinking, Drogheda are going to be right in the mixer here to get relegated. Exactly what I thought last season.
And you were proved wrong last season.
I was proved wrong, and I hope I'm proved wrong again this season. And it's just what I see on paper. I'm looking and thinking, how is Kevin Doherty going to get a tune out of these lads? But he just keeps doing it. The sucker punch of coming out of Europe last season, he just keeps getting a tune out of them. And I'm a big fan. I know a lot of people don't like what they see on the eye in terms of Drogheda football. But when a ball comes into the box, it goes straight back in. It goes straight back in again. Why have 4 or 5 passes before you put it back in? Yeah. Ask that question again. Keep your big lads up. I think there's an awful lot to be admired. You know, it's probably not the, for want of a better word, the sexy way of going about it. But I absolutely love it. Bodies on the line, 100% effort. So many times you will turn up for a game of football and your talent might not be quite at the level required. But if your desire levels are, you'll get away with an awful lot in this league. And I think Kevin Doherty has that Drogheda team wildly motivated, and as long as they're like that, they'll be absolutely fine.
Just on that, Richie, Kevin spoke after the game, and he's a little bit irked. Obviously, I know Kevin really well, and this isn't our own conversations, but he's just annoyed about some of the conversations around him and the bit of narrative that all the hours a long ball team. It's a little bit disrespectful when you have the likes of Brandon Cavan in the middle, who's an excellent footballer, who's brilliant the other night. Shane Farrell scores a screamer. So yes, as Keith said, they're effective to help balls back into the box. But to me, that's good play to keep the ball alive and put teams under pressure. That's where the first goal came to. Mark Doyle wins a flick on. They get a long throw.
The line, didn't he?
They get a long throw. That's into the box. Win a corner. They score off the corner.
Shane Farrell's finish is incredible. It is. Talk about quality. There's quality right there. Like.
But in terms of, I suppose, they're effective. So they play to their strengths. Yes, they might have a long throw. Yes, they might be good at set pieces and corners. But they actually do play a bit as well. And they play real football to me. None of this fancy nonsense like that. Makey uppy football. It's real kind of real football. What we were all brought up and reared on.
He's a proper manager, isn't he, Kevin? He's a proper manager. And we spoke glowingly of him last week and the week before. I think last year they had a brilliant start. They did. this year they've started off in the same fashion. If they can continue that on, I know they've made a couple of good signs, as you said, the likes of Brandon Cavanagh and that Doyle coming back in.
Doyle played really well.
Yeah, real high quality footballers that can actually make things happen. Obviously, Markey was a big loss for them, but they've kind of replaced that now. They have. If they can continue on that form that they showed from the start of last year and how they've gone now, I'd actually love to know what Kevin has them doing in pre-season, because they always start brilliantly, don't they?
But I'll find out for you.
Yeah, he's done an incredible job, and we.
He doesn't wear any 2 sets.
No, I know. He wouldn't suit a 2 set. He wouldn't suit a twin set. But we said it, didn't we, last week, Alan? Surely some of the big clubs now are thinking, if any of our managers ever go, he's the one we're going to go for. That's my opinion.
Because a lot of people focus too on budgets, and rightly so, and normally no matter what league, the teams with the most budget generally win the leagues, and the teams with the lowest might be down fighting. He's one of the lowest, but he always unearths a gem. There's a lad playing midfield, Ethan O'Brien's come back from America. Excellent he was, got man of the match tonight. The lad he's got in on loan, Jago Godden, who scored up in Galway, big physical presence as well. I actually think, and I know we're only 2 games into it, but from watching them tonight, I think they're actually stronger this year than what they were last year.
Yeah,
with what he's replaced, just the spine of the team. You have Big Healy heading things at the back, so dominant. Andy Quinn beside him, and obviously kept the goalkeeper. Connor Kane was brilliant at the left full. Doyle has come back in because he was a little bit worried with the centre forward here, but Doyle has done really well. So just looking at them. Now again, I'm not saying, but if there were, I know Keith Hughes says they missed out on the European stuff and just on the last day then in terms of qualifying automatically. Looking at what we've seen already, and we're only 2-3 games into it, I think they could have a real strong opportunity to maybe get themselves into those European positions this year.
Yeah, I think the way they set up is, I mean, John Daly after the game must have had his head in his hands thinking, that's a, and I use this word and I'm not using it to describe Drogheda, but playing against Drogheda is horrible. Absolutely horrible, because it's question
but
after
that's a
question.
compliment to Drogheda.
It's a compliment. I would never want to be, like, I only had a little bit of a flirt with coaching, but I'd never want the opposition to go, that was a lovely game of football. I enjoyed that. I always want teams coming off, that was horrible, we don't like playing against you, because that for me is a massive pat on the back. And within it, like, the Shane Farrell strike absolutely smacks of quality. The 2 fullbacks for Drogheda, when Waterford got the ball wide on the rare occasion they did, the fullbacks wouldn't go and engage the wide players, because they knew if he skips past me, then that dangerous ball behind the centre halves is there. So what the fullbacks would do is, I'll stay in my position and Shane Farrell will come across and engage with that. These are all little tactical nuances that you see it on the eye and you think, oh, that's just unfolding like that. No, that's a tactical setup and it's really intelligent stuff. So a lot of stuff to like. From Waterford's point of view, they struggled massively. They did everything Drogheda wanted them to do. I spoke about the lack of width. Very rarely when they got the ball in the centre of the pitch did they have an option out wide. Very few balls into the box. Padraig Hammond barely touched the ball. If you've got one of the most prolific strikers in the league, you get him involved in the game one way or another. And the highlights that we were showing on the game, before the game on Friday, some of the balls into the boxes were awful balls, and Podge would get his head on them and they end up in the back of the net.
He'd make a bad ball.
Yeah, so you don't have to be brilliant balls in, just lump it in there. And when you're playing 2 up front, you've got 2 good targets. So I didn't think Waterford were great. I thought Drogheda, after 10 minutes, were 2-0 up. And with their defensive strength, they were never coming back. No.
Yeah, and with Waterford, there was a lot of play in front of Drogheda as well. He played a narrow
no
tree.
Penetration,
Played a narrow tree. He actually played 3 up top, but as Keith said, they got very little service. And there was one thing that stuck out for me. Conor Carty was kind of in no man's land, because he was dropping in and he wasn't staying up as part of the tree. Whereas if you're just going to go maybe with 2 up top, whether it be Carty, Lonergan, Carty, Ammond, Lonergan. Lonergan was actually lively on the night, but as you says, Ammond looked frustrated with not getting any ball. No width down the sides to get crossed into the box. I know again it's early days. They've spent a few bob, Waterford, in terms of the budget as well. Like,
you could hear Kevin Doherty saying that as well.
And he's quick to emphasise that, Kevin, because that's what Kevin's up against with all the clubs.
100%, because people think, Drogheda should go and be Waterford. Waterford budget, I guarantee it, is bigger than what Kevin has. You know what I mean? And you see the players that they have went out and signed. I'm sure if Drogheda was competing with Waterford to get them, Waterford probably have that extra few bob.
Well, there's one they've taken off Drogheda, Luke Heaney.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You know? So...
Yeah, good player for them over the last couple of years.
Improve his financial status, let's put it.
But like as you said, see everything in front of Drogheda, that's perfect for them is. And Padraig Hammond, as brilliant as he is in the box scoring goals, making something out of nothing, he needs runners off him, he does. He needs people running in behind to get them balls into the box. And it just wasn't happening. If everything's in front of him, it's easy for Drogheda.
For John Daly, Keith, 1 point out of 6. Good point against Shelburne. Obviously, Joey O'Brien said last week to control the whole game. He was disappointed, didn't get the 3 points. Of course, John Daly's delighted with the point. But to go up to Drogheda and be beaten... First half, I thought it wasn't, even though they were 2 down, they were kind of in the game. Second half, they never even looked like scoring. If they were there till today, they wouldn't have scored. Drogheda were so comfortable in the second half. Would he be concerned already?
I think he'd be concerned with the start. He'd be definitely concerned with the start, because like when you're in the dressing room before kick-off, you'd imagine playing away from home, second game of the season, conditions being what they are. He must have said keep it tight for the opening 15, 20 minutes, give nothing away, don't let the crowd get involved. And before you know it, they're 2-0 down. So I think it just played into Drogheda's hands. Like you say, Alan, I don't think it was a 90-minute really bad performance, throw everything out the window and go again from a Waterford point of view. The first 10 minutes were awful and they gave themselves a mountain to climb, and then I think Drogheda just kept them at arm's length, didn't try and do too much, just knew if you want to overextend here, we'll hit you on the counter-attack. And look, Drogheda are again a horrible team to play against with those flat back 5, and Ethan O'Brien can pick a pass, Shane Farrell can pick a pass, and the pace of Alua in behind.
Alua did very well.
He was unlucky not to have a third.
Yeah.
If you start dictating the play and all of a sudden Drogheda win it, they're in behind in an absolute flash of an eye as well. So yeah, a difficult team to play against.
And this is the one we're talking about in terms of say the likes of a Sligo Rovers. Like the honest lads, Alua probably doesn't get hurled around the league, but he's up there running in behind, stretching defences, and on a shift, did really, really well. Whereas I'm looking at the likes of maybe Sligo with a couple of those wingers, they're hit and miss. You don't know when you have them. Kevin knows what he's getting out of Alua every week.
Absolutely, and that's what, obviously I played against Drogheda quite recently when Kevin was the manager. Every single game you went into, you knew, right, we're in for a game here. We are second balls, first and second balls, people running in behind, putting pressure on you. Or like that you said, sometimes you go into a game and you're like, I know that these are a nice team there, and I don't mind playing against a nice team because I know I'll get time on the ball, I know I'll be able to pick out a pass and stuff like that. Where you play against Kevin's teams, it's not like that at all, and it's a credit to him, because to get a team to buy into that is, I'm sure, is quite hard, and he's done it brilliantly.
Yeah, so the Premier Division boys, that's obviously, we only had the 3 games, which is such a pity too, and we lost to the Weather Pats in Galway. The First Division Athlone got off to a good start, beating Finn Harps 2-1. Bray, another Astro pitch.
Their first win,
that's
isn't it?
2 Astro pitches there for you, Keith. Bray won all at Longford. Wexford, Stephen Elliott, a great start. Open the night, 3-0 win away from home. Rory Keaton got off the mark late in the day. Barry Robson obviously got in as manager there at Cork. It's so important they come back up straight away as well.
He was at Celtic when I was there, Barry. He was a machine midfielder, absolute machine he was. So I'd say he's quite hard on the boys down there as well, known his character,
but it's good to see him get off anyway with a good start, because we want a strong Cork back in the league. But that's not to say they're entitled to be in the league. You have to perform on the pitch. And UCD came back from a goal down, beating Kerry 2-1 as well. So that wraps up the football side of things. Of course, the big news last week on top of the football boys, a little bit off the field and a lot on the field, but the Nations League draw, and of course we were drawn in a group with Israel, Austria and Kosovo. Austria and Kosovo, in terms of the football side, will take care of itself, but Israel has taken on a whole new dimension off the pitch. And of course, all the conversation around the weekend was people calling for it to be boycotted. The government have come out and says no, the game should go ahead. The FAI have kind of been backed into a corner in terms of released a statement straight away saying no, the games will go ahead. But I think this is going to rumble on for a while yet. And of course, we've the big playoff in a month to come as well. But in terms of the fixture itself, Keith, where do you stand on it?
I don't think it should be played personally. I think it's a crazy world we're living in, that we're actually thinking about talking to the players and seeing what the players want to do on this. Players, I've been a player. Once you're in that bubble, it's very difficult to poke your head out and talk about real world stuff, because you're not living in the real world as a footballer. I know if I'd have been in camp, I know I'm reading Hamer Halmerson in the paper this morning talking about speaking to the players on an individual level. I mean, at the end of the day, I only got 6 caps for Ireland, and I really wish I'd have got more. So I don't think any player wants to put their hand up and say, I don't want to play for Ireland. I don't think they want to play against Israel. That's the be all and end all of it. It's not that they don't want to play for Ireland. So
do you think there will be individuals that will say that?
I think there'll be older individuals. I think that our profile of player like Queeveen Kelleher, Troy Parra, Nathan Collins, although we look at these lads as being a little bit older in terms of footballing age, they're still fairly young. And if you would have asked me at 24, 25, what's my political stance on X, Y or Z, my head was in the clouds. I was a footballer. I was earning thousands of pounds a week. I wasn't involved in that type of stuff. So this should be taken out of the players' hands. The powers that be need to make I know they have made a decision, but for me, it's not the right decision. And it's just absolutely crazy. The fact that we can't play Israel in Israel is a bit of a red flag. And the fact that Israel, it doesn't look like they'd be playing in Dublin either, is another red flag. So I'm not too sure whether we need to speak to the Austrians and the Kosovo FA and see where we go from there, because maybe there's power in numbers. I think if Ireland decide to boycott the game, then Ireland will be punished. But if everybody decides to boycott the game, possibly we could get what we need out of the situation.
Before we come to the organisations and the Kosovo-Austria thing, just on the players thing as well, Richie, would you be of a similar mindset, or are we not giving players enough credit to realise the world has changed, social media, they're much more aware of obviously political issues as well. So will there be players in that camp fully aware of what's going on in the world, like we all are, and maybe feel, as Keith says, they might want to come forward and say, I'm not comfortable with this situation?
Yeah, you might get some players that will come forward. I think, as Keith said, I think some of the younger players, I think they probably need to be protected from it a little bit. But like as Keith said, we have got some older players, the likes of Seamus Coleman and players like that might want to come out and give their standpoint, and rightly so. I think it should be taken out of their hands also. I don't think it should purely go down to what the players want to do. And at the same time, it's really hard to pin it on the FAI as well, isn't it? Because realistically, they're being told by UEFA exactly what to do if it comes out that Ireland want to boycott the game, but UEFA say you're going to get punished, and nobody knows what the sanctions are going to be. Are they going to just forfeit?
That's the concern for them, isn't it?
That's it.
If you go back to November with the FAI, they voted to submit a motion to ban Israel from European club competition, international competition. So if they said that in November, now here we have the draw, and all of a sudden we're pitted against them. What's changed in the meantime? Was that not kind of meant? Now, in fairness to the president as well, Paul Cook, they did say at the time after they made that kind of assertion back in November, or submitted that motion, that if we were drawn against them, we will play against them. So they did outline that, in fairness to them, at the start. But is it more so a case of the fear they have now of the sanctions that may come on them? And should it be taken out of their hands, or do you think they, as an organisation, should stand up and make a strong decision?
They can be the ones. Obviously, they came out with a bullish statement, didn't they, about this? And I think they really, like what Keith said, I think we need strength in numbers. If the Kosovo FA and if the Austrian FA, if they all join forces with the FAI and say, do you know what, we're not playing the games, I don't think that they will punish the three countries. I think if Ireland go out on their own and say we're not playing the game, I think we will get punished. I think Keith's right. I think they'll say, oh, it's Ireland, all right, we'll punish them, we'll give Israel a 3-0 win. And that's not fair either. It's not. Even the point of the game being played, our home game being played in Hungary, that's not fair on the Irish players. That's not fair on the Irish fans that do want to go and watch the game, that have already paid for season tickets and stuff like that. Because it's going to go against us as well, isn't it? If we're playing effectively 2 away games now, which is not fair. Like,
and to be fair,
something that we've done nothing wrong. Like,
UEFA have been slow to the party with this sort of stuff before. When Russia invaded Ukraine in, I think it was 2022, Russia were due to play Poland, and Poland decided they were going to boycott the game, and then I think it was whoever
Czech
was going to get them,
Sweden,
they were going to get them in the next round.
So you had 3 big ones, kind of.
They all decided they were boycotting, and then UEFA said, okay, we'll ban Russia from all UEFA competition. So maybe we're on the cusp of that again. I don't know, but I also know the financial implications for the FAI. If they decide not to play the game and there's financial implications, that would hurt the FAI.
Which they're already in financial peril as it is.
But do you throw your morals out the door because you're financially going to be hurt by it?
So these are the decisions that have to be has to be made. Strong, tough decisions as well, Keith. These are not kind of easy ones. You have the Euros coming up where we're one of the hosts. Do you want to get on the wrong side of UEFA for that?
Yeah, you're not having any games.
And UEFA to be like, and this is the thing, as you said.
So we can't stand up because we're afraid UEFA might say you aren't getting that tournament.
This is what goes on in the world, Keith, isn't it? So what side of history are we going to stand on here?
Yeah. I know what side I think we should stand on.
Yeah, and we all know what side we should stand on. But all these have to be factored in, these decisions. And then that's why I would say the small bit of sympathy maybe for the FAI, as the UEFA should be stepping in here. They're already in breach of kind of a statute where playing in occupied land as well. So they're not implementing the rules they already have in place. So are we thinking they're going to make the right decision here? Probably not. So that's hard to blame the FAI that when they should be kind of overseeing the decision and making the decision for the FAI, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it feels like everybody's standing back and waiting for somebody to make the right decision for everybody here, but You know,
I was just about to say that.
If
Who
everybody's
is
standing
going to
back,
be
go
making
and
the
do it
decision?
yourself.
Yeah.
Be a leader.
Who's that decision going to get left to?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I don't think it's going to happen.
Isn't it mad that we've come down? And I don't mean this in terms of a disrespectful way, but we've come so far down the ladder, and we're at the player's doorstep now. And saying, well, what do you want to do? If you all say you're not playing it, then we won't play it.
I don't think it'll come
players
down to...
aren't politicians.
No,
Players should never ever get involved in this. They're not government officials. Players are footballers, and I trained from the age of 4 to 15. I went into academy, and every day, 3 times a day, football, gym sessions. Now you're saying, keep talking to me about real world stuff. I couldn't put up a pair of curtains and make me bed.
You still can't.
You still can't. My wife has to do it for me. And now you're telling me to talk about these sort of big boy stuff. As a player, players are in bubbles, and they should be the last people to be asked.
No, but I don't think it will come down to them. I think what's been said about them, there'll be individuals that may, if they want to come forward and speak their mind, fair enough. But I think that decision has to be and will be taken out of their hand. What I'm saying, as the governing body, UEFA should be stepping in over the FEI, but the FEI should be making a decision on behalf of Hallgrimsson, the players as well, and what they want as a collective.
Yeah.
But
So who'll make that decision from UEFA? Does that go to a committee?
But they're already in breach of rules that they have implemented, and that's the problem, Richie. And that's why, to be fair, I would have a little bit of sympathy with the FEI that the governing body are not actually acting on the laws they already have in place and the rules in this situation. So that's why we've seen them play the games already, you know, if that's the case. And Ireland, I don't know, are we big enough and strong enough to make that stance on our own? Maybe with Kosovo and Austria, but I don't. They're already playing. They've already allowed them compete in qualification campaigns in the last couple of years. So I don't think they're going to get involved, Kosovo and Austria, to back us up either, Keith.
Yeah, well, look, and then is there, if we feel that if Ireland step out and say we're going to boycott that game, or we feel like maybe Ireland are the only team that's going to do that and get slapped on the wrist, is there a point in that if it's ultimately going to lead to nothing? If Israel is still going to get to play the games?
That's what I'm saying. That's the corner they're backed into.
For the point
so
of
I can see, in fairness, you can see both sides. I'm going back to if they kind of submitted that motion in November, right? Here we are now. But I will premise it with Paul Cook did say if we were drawn against them, we play them. But why say that in November then?
Crazy statement, wasn't it, to come out with?
You know?
Too wild.
And here's the chance to follow through on it, but we're not really going to follow through on it if that's the case. We play them. You know? So that's where they're going to obviously be criticised for. But I can also see the other side where UEFA as a governing body should be coming and making the decision.
Absolutely.
So it's both sides.
Yeah, but
And it will rumble. It'll rumble on right up until...
Right to kick off.
Yeah, it
if
will.
UEFA should be making the decision, but the FEI can't be holding on saying, oh, well, we're waiting on UEFA. Well, if UEFA aren't going to do it, then you do it.
Yeah.
You be the shining light. You do something in a positive manner for Irish football. And I know boycotting a football game is not a positive thing, but you know what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, and it feels wrong to me.
You would just hate for it to really hurt Irish football for the next few years, just over one decision as well. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing, because Ireland as a nation will be getting punished for that decision. Do you know what I mean?
That's
where we shouldn't be.
Yeah, you know, so... it's going to rumble on.
Even if we do play Israel in Hungary in our home game, how many Irish people are going to travel over to there? So we're at a disadvantage all of a sudden. We don't have 50,000 in Aviva cheering us on. We've got, you know, X amount of...
Well, we've already been penalised. Yeah, I don't think that should be the case. You know?
Yeah, there's red flags all over the place here.
It feels like a lose-lose, doesn't it?
At the moment it does, but we'll see how it plays out. As I said, that's going to rumble on and rumble on. More so, obviously the playoff game is only 5 weeks away, a huge game around the corner. And
to be fair, the footballers, like if you were to say, what does Troy Parrott think about Israel? Troy Parrott's mind is not on Israel at the minute. Troy Parrott is thinking about those internationals in March and possibly
all
getting
Troy
to the
Parrott's
World
thinking
Cup.
about the moment banging in goals because he's on fire.
Flying, isn't he?
In fairness to him, absolutely on fire. And then that kind of leads you to, he's playing in, say, not an established league like, say, Serie A. Evan makes the choice to go to Roma. He's in a situation now, fair enough, the injury, but hasn't really kind of, you look at the interest and the attention Troy is getting, and I would have always, and this, you look back at Evan's decision and whoever was kind of guiding him, and he's always kind of, we felt as though would have good guidance, and Barry, obviously a former player, would know himself, but just, I always felt the Roma, when we mentioned it months ago, big decision to go there where the scrutiny on them, the manager's outspoken, things not happen for them now. Whereas I always felt if you go play somewhere where, and I know there's no guarantee of first team football anywhere, but somewhere where in the championship where he goes and he's 80% sure he's going to play every week, be the big fish for a year, score a few goals. Like, look what it's done for Troy Parrott.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
His career.
I would love Evan to be playing in a championship team every single week and getting a handful of goals. But can you imagine sitting with your agent, going for a cup of coffee, and you're surplus to requirements at Brighton, you're probably third or fourth choice, and then all of a sudden Roma are interested. Gasperini fancies you. It's like, I understand that. Is that a great move for you, Evan? But if a manager of that calibre and a team of that calibre wants you, I mean, when Evan finishes his career in 20 odd years and he's sitting down, imagine sitting and going, I had the chance to go to Roma, but I didn't take it.
Yeah, but look how it's played out, Keith.
Yeah, no, I get that.
No,
but
hindsight is great, isn't it?
You don't know that. And look, an ankle injury is an ankle injury. He could have got that at Brighton. He's got it at Roma. I understand Gasperini has probably cracked the whip with him a few times. But look, Evan's a young lad. He's struggling with injuries, and what he's done to date in his career has been absolutely brilliant. And he's still so far ahead of the peak at that age that we shouldn't be too worried about him. And while Troy is doing what he's doing, we're in a privileged position that we can say, do you know what, Evan? You go and do your thing, take your time, and hopefully you'll be back in an orange.
The reason we're worried about him is because obviously we're 5 weeks out from the game. So in terms of him feature now, it's the chances are getting slimmer and slimmer.
Well, he's not number one. Troy's number one now anyway, isn't he? But unless we're going to go with two.
Maybe play with two.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes even more paramount that Troy stays fit now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because if anything happens to him, there's our two main strikers out of the most important games in Irish football in a long, long time. So please God, Troy stays fit.
Okay, boys, I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Cheers,
Keith.
Brilliant.
Richie, thanks very
Fair
much.
play.
We're all off to buy twin sets, everybody, me and Keith, and we're going to buy Richie a
I'm
new
coming
shirt,
in a three-piece
new
next
shirt
week.
and a jumper as well. But thanks for joining us. RTÉ Soccer Podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. Also on YouTube, you can get a look at Richie's two-set or twin set or whatever we call it. It's brutal, let's be honest. But we will be back next week, folks, and thanks for listening. Bye.